Hey guys, welcome back to this UpLift Productions. So glad to see you guys, and I can't believe we haven't seen you guys since last year.
I know. New year coming up. Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, what's all that, like that new year, new me stuff, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's it. So Trevor, how have you been?
I've been good, Roy. You know, it's been a good start to the new year other than this little stomach bug sickness, but I'm here for the people. So I'm ready to get out there.
Hopefully it's not COVID though, right?
No, it's not COVID.
Okay,
I'm good.
That's always good to hear.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Started off, set myself my big goals that I want to accomplish this year. Not to be mistaken as New Year's resolutions, because they're goals, not resolutions. And just started to get with it, do what I got to do every day, just grinding and getting done the big steps that I have for myself.
That's what we do.
That's good. That's good. So Trevor, like, to me, let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
If I want to get to a destination, right, and let's say it requires a rocket ship, can I just go one morning and turn my rocket ship on and fly there?
No, you gotta build up to it.
You gotta build up to it, right? And that's something that so many people, I feel like, forget about. They just think that they can wake up one morning and just accomplish like this big idea that they have without putting in the working steps that they have to get there. And usually, what does this lead to?
Yeah, it leads to abandonment or just not fulfilling it.
Yeah, and it leads to, I feel like, a personal thought of failure, right? And it feels like, well, if I couldn't accomplish it today, what makes me think that I'm going to be able to accomplish it next week or next month or next year or however long the duration will take for you to accomplish it? And that's a mindset that is very, very hurtful to yourself because it puts you in a place where you feel like you're not who you can be. It puts you in a place where you're like, well, am I really strong enough to get this done? And this can easily be overstepped just by doing little simple things daily or little purposes, like daily driven purposes that you have for yourself. And this can also be like overcome by giving yourself daily expectations to reach your certain goal for that day. So not just your daily like routines and other little things like that, but also a daily expectation of what I want to have done no matter what gets thrown in my way.
Yeah, I think naturally in terms of being people, right, at one point or another, we have something that we want to advance or get better at. And that's where goals come from. And that's where it's a good topic for this New Year's resolutions come from. And in a lot of cases, people set these expectations without, like you were saying, a plan to get there. For example, I've set or seen people set New Year's resolutions in the past where they want to cut 20 pounds, by a certain amount of time. But in that light, what are they going to do? I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to go to the gym. But it really has to be broken down in a manner bigger than that. It's got to be broken down first, and we'll get into this more later too, about why I want to do this. What is fueling me to do this? And you got to be able to write that down and set that example. And then second, what are the steps that I'm going to take in the daily sense or in a weekly sense, however long you set up the time period in order to get to that bigger goal? Because when you're focusing on that bigger goal, it's not right away, I'm going to get to this. It's, I'm going to take this step so I can proceed to take this next step in order to get to the final one. And then you just keep building on that from there even.
Yeah, because like Trevor's saying, everyone has equal time in their day, right? So like what separates me from achieving my goal from you from achieving your goal or Trevor from achieving his goal? Yeah. Like the only thing is, like, do I have the personal drive and do I have the daily routine or the daily mission that I need to get done for the day? Whether that is getting your workout, right, like we talked about last time, or whether that is just trying to improve on something a little bit at a time. And that's all done based off you having your why and knowing your reason of where you want to become.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're going to talk about today and help you guys try to see something new and just inspire you to think a little bit outside the box, right? Because we're always taught to think inside this cardboard box, right? But what happens if we step outside of it and think outside the box, right? Let's think like a cardboard triangle, or a cardboard circle. Like, why inside a box? You know what I'm saying? So the big subtopic that Trevor and I thought would be very important to talk about is daily routines. Like, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing that you do? Right? Do you go eat your breakfast? Or do you get on your phone for 30 minutes? Right? Do you go shower? Or do you go play video games for 30 minutes? Right? What do you do in the first 30 minutes of your day? And the reason we say this is because that's probably one of the most important times of your day. Am I going to give myself something that I will need to get done today? Or am I going to settle with complacency and just do what the easiest thing to do at that time is?
Yeah, and at the same light, that is when we are most susceptible to things, is when we first wake up, because we haven't had any external experiences yet in the day. Everything is fresh, everything is new. It's like a new garden, right? Where you see everything and you're just kind of taking it all in. And in light with that too, I think it's not only what you do in the first 30 minutes of your day, because that's equally important also, but It's the fact of when you start your day. I think a lot of people make the distinction, are you a morning person or are you an afternoon person? I personally don't believe that. I believe am I a go-getter or am I a person who waits for my day to go by? Because naturally, when you think about waking up earlier, and I know we hear the benefits of it all the time, right? We went to school early for all these years, as I'm sure a lot of people have too. But when you wake up early, just think about it. Naturally, you have more time in your day to get things done. You're giving yourself, in my opinion, a better sleep quality because you have that discipline to go to bed at a certain time in order to get a certain amount of sleep. It's not as random. And then you're more structured in your execution of things, which if you connect it to your goals, you want to have a sort of structure, right? So why not put some structure to start your day in order to connect with that?
Yeah, and with what, like bouncing off what Trevor was saying, it's also the first thing that you see in the morning is what your day is going to become. Right, so if you're, let's say, on social media or even just watching the news and you happen to see like something negative, like that's going to stick with you through the whole day. That's all you're going to be thinking about, like this negative thing. Like, oh, so my day's going to be negative because this is all the negative that I've seen already. Right, instead of doing something positive for yourself, like taking that cold shower, right, eating that warm breakfast, going out to get your morning run, your morning workout, whatever it is and doing like the things that are going to actually benefit you and drive you to get something done instead of make you slumber and sit back and think what if, right? And like Trevor said, sleep quality. Like so many people our age, right, are like, well, it's okay, like I'm still in school, I don't have a job yet, so I'm just gonna sleep whenever I want, wake up whenever I want. But it's really unhealthy habits to get into because once you have to have that discipline one day, you won't have it. Because you're going to be so used to going to bed at 4 or 5 in the morning, waking up at noon or 1, and they're like, like it's normal, like this is what it is. I'm just going to get a night job if I need to, and this is how I'm going to live my life. And you live your life away from what actually is going on in society because you're sleeping through half the day. Right? Society moves forward in the day, it doesn't move forward at night. Like while growth happens overnight, movement happens during the day. And it's really important to know that the better your sleep schedule, you won't have more time, but you'll have more quote-unquote time because you'll be awake before other people wake up. Right? Why do the billionaires in the world wake up at 5 in the morning? Right? They already have all the money. Why do they need to keep waking up? It's because they know that if they wake up early and get stuff done before most of the people wake up, they're going to technically have a better advance because they're 3 hours ahead of you. Right? They're 4 hours ahead of you. They're 5 hours ahead of you. So that's something that you need to understand that like if people are doing this, why can't we? Like if people have the result that I want, why can't I?
Absolutely. So playing off of that, what has been your morning routine like that's kind of set you up in order to put you in a position where you feel comfortable with and where you feel like you're getting the most out of your day?
That's good that you say that. So I usually wake up my day between 5 and 6 every morning, and that's sometimes by choice and sometimes by force because I have 2 dogs. You know, if any of you have dogs, you know that once you put them on a schedule, like they stick with that schedule. So I'm up between 5 and 6 every day, and the reason for that isn't because I want to, even though I do it by choice sometimes, but it's because I want to have the advantage on other people during that day. I wake up in the morning, I go out with my dogs, I do what I need to do, feed them, feed myself. Food, nutrition is really important for your body, and then the first thing I do after that is go take a shower and get ready for my day. And the reason for that is because it's important for me to understand that I'm going to go through the difficult times right now and say no to the easy things that I could do. Like it's really easy to pick up my phone and look at it for 20-30 minutes. It's really easy to turn on the TV, right? I actually just got my first TV that I've had last year now, I think. I got it. Yeah. And the purpose that I got it was for just that when I have people over, they have something to do if I'm working. Because I have lots of people that are over. And I think I've turned it on maybe a handful of times because I personally don't use those goods as time consumption. It's such a waste when you waste 15 minutes, right? Think about it. If you waste 15 minutes a day to do that, that's almost 2 hours a week. That's 100 hours a year that you're wasting on just watching TV, right? With 100 hours, what can you be doing? That's like working full time for 2.5 weeks. So think about that. For 2.5 weeks straight, you sit there and watch movies. For 2.5 weeks straight, you sit there on your phone, on Twitter. 2.5 weeks, you sit there straight, and who knows what you're doing, playing a video game. Like, do you think you're going to be as far ahead on work as your coworker if that's what you're doing? Like, even though it's little steps every day, it's setting you back from your end result. And that's what I decided. I'm like, I am no longer going to give in to these time consumption devices. I'm going to do what needs to be done and get it done in the morning. And then that way I have the whole afternoon freed up to do whatever I want. And that doesn't mean I give up my afternoon to go watch movies or whatever. It means that I have time in the afternoon to actually reflect on what I need to get done the next day, so I'm even more prepared.
It's really scary when you break it down into time that you spend on things, whether it be social media or YouTube or just things that don't really provide a lot of value into your life. You know, I think last year when Apple, I don't know about you, you have an Android, so I don't know how it works for you guys, but when my iPhone started putting in the weekly reflection or the hourly report, it's really interesting to see how things are breaking down. And, you know, I used to have sort of a mindset of I don't have time to do things, but then you look at the time that, or I looked at the time that I had invested in, it's like, whoa, you know, I'm just not using it wisely.
Yeah, because like we said earlier, we all have 24 hours a day, right? 365 days a year. Like that is what it is. Like that's what God given us. And you have to sleep for, let's say, 7 of that a day, right? So what are you going to do with the rest of the hours? That's up to you to decide, right? Let's say you work for 8. There you go, that's 15 hours gone. You have 9 hours left. And those 9 hours that you have every day, not including Saturday and Sunday, what is it? Like what's your purpose? What's your why? What do you want to get out of it? Like if you want to sit around and like that's your time to watch TV, go all for it. That's all for you. That's for you to decide what do you want to do. But if you actually want to move ahead and better yourself, better your family, better anyone, like you got to do what you want to do in those 9 hours. Don't wait for time to be given to you. Take control of the time that you have, right? Take control of time. Don't let time take control of you.
Even with your mind too, you always have a choice of what you can do. So if there's something you have to get done and you're putting it off, you're procrastinating, that's your choice. And you're going to have to deal with the repercussions of that. You know, if it ends up for you not finishing an assignment or something you have to do for work, that's on you. That's on nobody else but you. And you have to be able to take accountability for that. And if you have things that need to get done, what are you going to do to get it done? I think the biggest enemy or the biggest thing that contributes to anxiety is inaction, right? Like when you're settling and just letting things go by and you're thinking, that's again time and minutes that are ticking away from when you could just get it done. You got to be able to just jump into it. And I think building off a little bit on your routine, one thing I do in my day is cold showers. After breakfast every morning, I jump in because it's the first uncomfortable thing in my day. You can't have any hesitation with it. You just got to go right in. And then that's going to play into a lot of things in the rest of your day. You know, for me, I'm a little bit of an introverted person by nature, right? But I have to open myself in my field, in my career, to have conversations with people and really have in-depth talks to get what I need to do to maximize where I work. And that's something that I've had to learn over the last couple of years. And by doing little things like that, again, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So by making yourself uncomfortable, it's going to make the next time a little less rocky, I guess the word would be for it to get after.
Yeah, and going with that, like we used this analogy a lot last time, and we're going to use it again. When you work out and you want to reach a certain result, you can't just throw a plate on and expect to be able to bench it day one, right? For those of you that don't know, a plate is 45 pounds. You can't just throw a plate on each end and be able to do it. You can't expect to be able to eat unnutritiously and be able to see results. Right? You can't expect to not work out and not see results. Like it's all about that routine. You got to wake up, right? You got to stretch. You got to start small, right? You got to set yourself daily goals, right? It all goes together. You got to eat healthy. You got to feed your mind healthy. It's all the same thing. You can tie in a lot of what you should accomplish in your day to day and what you should do when you're trying to weight lift and gain weight, right? And this doesn't have to be just weightlifting. It can be when you're trying to grow a garden too. Like you can't just expect to plant something in the dirt and it grow, right? You got to fertilize it first for a long time. Then you got to plant it and take care of it when it's still a seed before it's even sprouted. And then once it sprouts, you need special attention to make sure birds and other predators don't eat it, right? That predator is all that negativity that you feed yourself. And then once you do it for a while, after 6-7 months, you start to reap the results of that. When you get the fruit on your trees, right? When you plant a fruit tree, it takes 2 or 3 years before the first fruit even forms. But if you don't invest those 2 or 3 years to better that tree, the tree is not going to make it. And it may take 6 or 7 years.
Absolutely. So I guess just building off of that, because we go into a lot of things of why you have to do these things in order to get done what you have to get done. Where does, I guess for you, mission stem from? Because we talk about guys and mission and purpose, and that's what we have to do in order to be on our grind to get everything else to come into place. But, you know, what does that mean to you, and how have you established that for yourself?
Yeah, I like to rely my mission and purposes into a passion, right? If I have a passion for something, it's easy for me to set a mission and a purpose. But if I don't have a passion, it's like, why am I here? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like, what am I trying to accomplish, right? Like, if like I like, for example, I don't like art, I don't like painting, I don't like that type of stuff. So when I took ceramics classes, I always had to find different motivation for me. Why am I here? Right? I had to think to myself, like, when I'm taking this class, even though I personally don't like it, what benefit is it going to give me in the future? Right? And it benefited me by showing me that even though I don't like something, I need to do it in order to accomplish my bigger goal at hand. Right? This is a class I needed to take in order to finish and get a degree. So that means that I need to sit through it in order for me to get my mission of getting my degree, my passion of getting my degree. So for me, going to that class, the only reason I even wanted to go was because I saw the end result. I saw what I wanted, and this was an obstacle in my way. Remember, adapt, overcome, pursue. Right? I'm pursuing my end result. I'm adapting to the challenges at hand, and I need to overcome the doubt that I have in my mind. So going off that, like, I saw that I needed to get somewhere, right? I saw that I had a goal in mind, and I was like, all right, it's time to grow up, step up, and just get it done. So, like, Trevor, like, what's something that you needed to overcome, and like, how did you do it to achieve your mission and purpose?
Absolutely, and I think I really established what this was for me in the past year and a half. And I'd say back in August, I want to say of 2019 was when I started my new internship at Sun Devil Source, and it was a brand new experience for me because I major in sports journalism, and I had covered Arizona State for the first 2 years of my college career, but nothing like what I was about to get into. I was about to get in full in-depth reporting and everything that went along with that, learning from my publisher and being in a professional outlet like 24/7 Sports, and a lot of personal things happened in that time, and I was a little awry in terms of where I was going, and I even had a second where I wanted to quit everything and just drop it, with a lot of life things that were going on, and I really had to come back to myself and remember what the reason was why I got into sports journalism. Not only because for people who don't know me, I'm an avid writer. I have that sort of creativity mindset. I'd like to say that's how I describe my personality. And the reason why I got into sports journalism specifically is because sports for me were the biggest moments of joy in my life. And journalists and broadcasters played such a big role in bringing those moments out to me and making it seem almost magical. So when I got into sports journalism, my thought was, I want to do that same thing. I want to make memories for kids and for fans like people had done for me. My favorite sports journalist, Mitch Albom, I have the Detroit Free Press clipping from 2008 when the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup, and things like that I'll never forget. So remembering that, and when you remember that, that's when the motivation comes back. Like, okay, I want to get to that point. What can I do to get to that point? And then that's where you start to break things down. And once I got my mind back, once I took a couple days to kind of recuperate and the time to get myself back, it started to become more naturally, I'd say, of the day-to-day. What do I have to accomplish today? And what do I have to do just over the course of shorter segments to get done what I need to get done? And then that just builds, I know we talk about like what exactly builds and like having that map of what happens, but I'd say naturally when you just have that motivation of why you want to start things and why you're aspiring to do it, I'd say it sort of naturally comes into place. You start to put things into place where you want to do this, and this just because you have that passion for it.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm understanding correctly, you figured there was never a perfect time for you to achieve something, and you were like, you know what, like these people gave me something, happiness in myself, and that's now what my goal is driven by. My goal is to be able to give to someone else the same happiness, the same feeling that was given to me, right? So you were driven by giving back what was given to you.
That was it.
Right? And that's a great goal-driven experience that you have, because someone else's goal drove them to have an experience, drove them to give you the experience that you had, right? And that's really important to set for yourself, because everyone thinks, let's go back to the New Year's resolution, right? Mm-hmm, yeah. It's like, all right, new year, new me. I'm going to set myself this resolution. I'm going to get it done. 2 weeks later, you quit. And it's because you don't have your real expectation of what you want your end result to be. Like Trevor, his expectation was, I want to be able to give an experience to someone like the experience that was given to me. It had so much impact in my life. If I can even help one life see what I felt, like that's good enough for me, right? But all these people that have New Year's expectations, and not all of them, right? Some of you have like good reasons for it, but a lot of people have New Year's expectations, and it's only for themselves. They don't care about anything else. They're just like, I'm doing this for myself only, no other reason about it.
It's like not clear.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do this.
And it's like, why are you in the situation that you have to do that, right? Maybe it's because you didn't do something, time management, or you didn't do like smart decisions then, so now you have to work double the time now, right? So it's all about making sure that your resolutions are outcome based, not certain process based. Like I want this to help me achieve a certain goal, no matter the process that it takes, right? If you're thinking about the process, like, oh, I'm gonna show up 5 minutes early to work, that's because you have to be there.
Yeah, that's
right. That's not an outcome based thing. Like you have a process, you have to be somewhere. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna clock in. I can clock in up to 7 minutes early and get paid. I'm gonna clock in 5 minutes early. I'm gonna get paid for 5 more minutes a day. But you're hurting yourself because you're only doing that because there was a process already there. Why not show up to work 30 minutes early? Like that's not exactly, like that's not like an actual question. It's a hypothetical question. But it's like, if you really are going to show up to work early, show up early, leave early. Give yourself more time in your day. Right? Go to bed early, wake up early. It's easy. But you got to start. You got to start today. Don't say you're going to start tomorrow, because tomorrow becomes never. If you want something done, you start today. If you want something done, you start now. You do it now. 3, 2, 1 now. Right? When I first had to start waking up early, I didn't want to. I have to set up, tell myself 3, 2, 1, get out of bed. Throw the sheets off and I get up. And it took me a couple of days to figure out that that's what it's going to become. And it's not because I like it, like I said like 10 times already. Because it's not fun. You know, when you wake up in the winter, you can't even see yet because it's pitch black. But I do it because I know that I want to get done what I want to get done in my day. And I don't want to be able to blame myself for not getting it done. And set smaller goals and win day by day, right? That's because if you don't win every day, you're going to demotivate yourself. Don't set yourself goals that you're like, how am I going to ever be able to reach this, right? Like, yes, you want your goal to be a little bit far-fetched, like a little bit too far to reach, but you want to be able to come relatively close to it so you can set the next goal. But you don't want to fail every single time, because failure is going to lead to demotivation, and it's going to lead to yourself having self-doubt. Right? And that's just going to keep driving you down the hole. Right? You're just going to keep digging down instead of trying to build a ladder to get your way back up. And that's just things, like I said last week, things just compound over time, one day at a time. Right? Improve 1% a day. That's all that matters. Some wise people told me once, a long time ago when I was probably in elementary school, would I rather take a penny that doubles every day for 30 days or take $5 million straight? And everyone's like thinking to themselves, 1 penny, 2 pennies, that's 3 pennies, 4 pennies, that's 7 pennies.
I love this.
Right? And it's like, I'll take the $5 million right now. But if you put it away, right, and you think of yourself, I don't want the results now, I'm going to delay my gratification, then at the end of the 30 days, or 31 days, you have like 10 point something million dollars. Just from that one day. And you think to yourself, it's like, wow, like if I would have known that, I would have picked that. But no, that's a process. You're like, oh, if I would have known, I would have done that. But you need to walk into the unknown to achieve the unknown. You need to walk into the unknown to achieve greatness. Greatness isn't born. You can't go to a tree and pick greatness off of it. You got to think to yourself, I want to be great. How do the great think? Right? All the greats, they relatively think alike. Think like the great and you'll become great. But think like the mass and you'll live like the masses, right? Like, would you rather live with the class or live in the mass or live with the class? Right? Think about that. Live in the classes or live with the masses? It's up to you.
Yeah, one thing I'd just like to build off of is there's no perfect time to start anything. A lot of people say, oh, I'll get to that later, or you know, when I feel like it. Like we've mentioned just throughout this podcast, there's only 24 hours in the day to do something, and there's only a limited amount of time to get after it and put these things in action. And the more you have that attitude of, I'm going to delay it, I'll do it later, I'll do it when I feel like it, that's the longer you put off putting your goals in place. That's the longer you put off getting the results that you want. And you have to be able to just jump into it. You have to be able to say, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it right now, because that's going to get me there the quickest. And then from there, I can build on to more goals on top of that.
Yeah, that's really good to do. And like you said, like locking in that mindset, like I don't have all day to do this. I have right now to do this, right? You wake up at 6, you say you're going to work out at 7:30. Like you work out at 7:30. Like you can't wait. I'm going to do it at 8. Because it's going to set your day back half an hour. It's going to set you back on what you had set for the day.
No excuses. Yeah.
No excuses.
So in order to make that happen, I guess, because it's easy to just put things in place and kind of go day by day. But to really see that progress, right? Because it can be, there's some tough days and where you don't see necessarily things coming together, at least in your mind. And one thing I've done in order to eliminate that, or just kind of see exactly how far I've come, have that delayed gratification, is journaling. I don't know how big you're into that, but for me, part of my routine every day is after I shower, I go write down the goals that I have to do today, the things that I absolutely must do, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then some side projects that I would like to accomplish if I have time today. And then I also write 3 things I'm grateful for, because it gets you in that mindset of positivity and open-mindedness and getting ready for the day. So even this morning, I didn't know necessarily how the day was going to go. I had some reporting to do, but I wrote down the 3 things I was grateful for. And even being sick, I got sick last night, unfortunately. I saw that and it immediately put me in a mindset of, okay, here we go. This is why I do it, because I have these things that I'm grateful for. If I continue to do the things I need to do, it's only going to build from there.
Yeah, I don't relatively call it journaling. I just take notes of what my day was and what my day is going to become, and some lessons that I've learned throughout the day. Right, like whenever I read some of my books, like after I read, I just try to journal like the big ideas that I had from that day, and then the next day I go reread what I had and see if that's all that I got out of it. So I write down like what I want to think about and ponder for a little bit, and then I come back to it the next day and outline like, okay, is this really all I got out of it, right? Is this really all that it was meant to be? And usually the answer is no. And I missed out a lot of the key stuff because I was so focused on just like what was going on instantaneously. I wasn't focusing on the actual lesson that was learned from it, right? And that's something that I think that people expect to remember things just from their memory, but they don't realize how bad their memory actually is. And like just try to remember like a simple six digit number, right? It's pretty easy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? That's pretty easy. But once it gets complex, like 7, 5, 4, 3, 8, 8, 8, whatever it is, right? It starts to become more and more complicated to remember, even if you see it daily. But yet, we're able to memorize things like how many shots I need to take down someone in Call of Duty, right? Or we're able to see, I don't know, what else, something, like I'm able to see like how long it takes me to, when I play NBA 2K, how long it takes me to hold down the trigger before the ball comes out.
Or get this badge or whatever.
Yeah, like you remember that stuff like instantaneously, but like actual important stuff in your life, why don't we remember? Right? Like why don't we remember tax documents that you need to file? Or why don't we remember simple things that we had in mind for the day that's going to help us get through the day? Or why don't we remember important quotes from important people? Why don't we remember history? And it's because people are quick to jump to conclusions. Oh, that's not going to happen to me. I'm too good for that. Like you're not too good for anything.
No one is.
No one is.
Yeah.
And you need to think to yourself, like, is this something that I'm going to want to remember? Is this something that I may want to talk about one day? Because if it is, what does it take? 3 seconds to write it down? Like, why not? Why not take 5 minutes a day and write it down? You spend at least 5 minutes a day on social media, right? Why not take 5 minutes of that and just try to better yourself? What starts at 5 can become 10, can become 15. It doesn't matter how long it is. Even if it's only a minute to start, even if it's 30 seconds, it's at least a start to something. And that can be your daily routine. Which brings us to the challenge that we have for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So building off of that, with all the things that you guys would like to achieve, and we've set out some of the things that we have defined as our mission and our purpose and how we get after it every day. We'd like to challenge you, what can you do today? And then also in a short increment of a week to build to that long-term goal of what you want to get after. And whether that starts with journaling, whether it starts with building your routine, we want you to put that in place, because these are the things that over time build your mindset. Because mindset, you hear it all the time, is huge, and I believe that, but I didn't exactly see it come to fruition until I started to do these things. Now I'm in a sense of, if I don't get done what I have to, I feel I just can't do it. I have to do these things because I know that's what puts me in place to get done what I need to get done in order to accomplish the bigger picture. So we challenge you guys to start to do that, do the same, see how it goes over a week, over 2 weeks, and then a month, and then see what you get out of it. Because it might not seem like a lot, but it really is.
Yeah, it's all about that daily habit. Like Trevor said, daily habit builds success. I promise it builds success. But it all starts with your daily habits, right? So do it. Write down what you want to achieve, your wildest dreams. Look at your schedule. What can you cut out of it, right? What can you do yourself that's going to set you forward a day? What can you do that's going to set you back? Think about it. Dream about it. And take time to do it.
And then let us know.
We look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for stopping by, and have a great rest of your week.